on bums, girl.
You're not going to go anywhere.
You landing on bums.
What? And that means that you can't go down?
I would love to see you do it Saturday.
You couldn't knock Ema Cousin out. You couldn't knock Hannah Rankin out.
Wow. You couldn't knock Emma Cousin
That's
out.
why. Let's just put it this way.
Stop it.
12-0 as a pro, and you haven't learned to finish anyone.
Say it again,
That's
baby.
wow.
12-0.
I'm
about to be 13-0. I ain't worried.
The subject.
It's okay. You can say whatever you want to say. Saturday. Landing on bums.
What? And that means that you can't go down.
Landing on bums, girl.
You're not going to go anywhere.
You landing on bums.
What? And that means that you can't go down.
I would love to see you do it Saturday.
You couldn't knock Ema Cousin out. You couldn't knock Hannah Rankin out.
You couldn't knock Emma Cousin out.
That's why. Let's just put it this way.
Stop it.
12-0 as a pro.
Don't do it.
And you haven't learned to finish anyone.
Oh, no.
Baby. 12-0. About to be 13-0. I'm about to be 13-0. I ain't worried.
The subject.
It's okay. You can say whatever you want to say, but I'm better than you. I've been better than you since I was 17.
Why couldn't you beat me then?
Oops.
Didn't I win the Olympics?
Oh,
We're talking about that.
Yeah, we are.
Well, what's good, family? It's your man, the YB, back once again. Oh my god. This was brutal. Super duper brutal. These are the bars. I've been saying this on Twitter, yeah, listen. Tyson Fury and Dillian White. Shameful. Their build-up was shameful. Yeah, tickling nipples. What the fuck? Two big buff dudes tickling nipples on the press conference. We had Baumgartner and the other one, I forgot the other chick's name, but either way, man, the point is, them two was getting out. Pre-fight press conference. They getting out. Yeah? Mayer, that's it, Mayer and Baumgartner. They getting out. I think one of them threw a kick. One of them on their Muay Thai things. 100%. So wait a minute. While the chicks, whilst the females are throwing kicks. Yeah? Whilst the females are trying to get their Muay Thai game on. Tyson Fury and Dillian White were tickling nipples. What the only in 2022 is what we see now possible. The women are more masculine than the men. Bottom line. Yeah? Look at the passion here. Look at the passion. Shields getting aired out. Now, to be fair to Shields, I'm going to give Shields a lot of credit. Claressa Shields, I respect her. She came from the bottom. And, most importantly, she turns up. She turn up. Yeah? She turn up and get the job done. I remember the first kind of women's half super fight of this era was Shields versus Hammer. And I saw the size of Hammer. Hammer was huge and buff and whatever else. Claressa Shields boxed Christina Hammer's ears right the way off her head for her. That big head of hers got boxed up. And that was the first fight, really. I had to give respect to Shields. I thought Shields wasn't no good. Sorry. I didn't think Shields was no good, but I thought that Hammer be too big, too strong. Hammer didn't turn up. Yeah, Hammer was useless in that fight. She was scared to get stuck in, and that's why she lost. Now, I respect Shields. Every time so far, even though the competition hasn't been great, but then again, you can't say that. I think Shields has beat one legitimate person, and that is Hammer. Hammer choked, and Shields turned up. Arguably against the odds. Against a big, strong chick in Hammer. That's the fight that stands in my mind. But not only that, obviously the Olympics twice, she's turned up. Now, women's boxing isn't the best, I ain't gonna lie. And it's clear to me, Shields and Marshall are in a league of their own. But the reason I'm mentioning the fact that Shields turned up is because it does have to be said. I'm a huge Savannah Marshall fan. I think Savannah Marshall's probably the best woman in the history of the game, ever. By miles as well. However, I ain't going to sit here and lie to no one. The fact of the matter is, when it came to the Olympics, Marshall choked. So, this for me is really what the fights, or this for me is the pre-fight analysis. In as much as, in my mind, if Savannah Marshall turns up and has a 6 out of 10 day, she will wipe the floor with Shields. The risk is that somehow she chokes. And let's not forget, if there's ever a time to choke, apparently, I haven't watched the films, but apparently Savannah Marshall choked at the Olympics. That was a big event, obviously. She had a lot of pressure. Now, this arguably is even more pressure than whatever else. So, I understand it. People are saying Savannah Marshall chokes. That's why it's relevant. If Savannah Marshall chokes and goes in there like Hammer did, we got problems. Yeah? At best, we're probably going to get a draw or a points lost to Shields. Shields to win. But for me, as long as Savannah Marshall's average, it should be... Savannah Marshall's average day should be enough to deal with Shields. Shields, for me, fights like a typical woman in that sense. Yes, she has some manly skills. I think her jab's kind of manly, and I think some of her counter punches is somewhat manly, but the other parts of her game, like the way she thrashes like a typical woman. No technique, chin in the air, just left and right, big, almost arm shots. No good. And unfortunately, Savannah Marshall, everything she does is like a man. I'm sorry, I've been doing analysis all this week, and all I see when I see Savannah Marshall is a man. Yeah, the way she puts her shots together, the way she defends, the way she slip and slides, everything is how top level men do it. I actually think Savannah Marshall puts her shots together better than most men do. Although, in all fairness to the men, obviously there's a lot more coming back. But the reason Savannah Marshall is able to stop these women, yeah, listen, we've got dudes who can't stop people. But the reason Savannah Marshall's been able to stop people that Shields hasn't is because Savannah Marshall is like a man in that sense. She fights like a man. And that means she's able to exploit the holes Shields isn't able to. Yeah, Shields is thrashing left and right. It don't cut it. That's why she don't get no stoppages. Savannah Marshall, she's in there digging, turning shots over. Heavy-handed. You can just feel it. It looks different. Visibly, when Shields lands a shot, it's like... Yeah, it's just nothing... It doesn't have that snap to it. When Marshall lands a shot, it's thudding in. As you'd expect from people like Canelo and Golovkin, etc., etc. That's what it looks like, for me, visibly. Shields, on the other hand, is like Katie Taylor and them ones. Yeah, they go in there, loads of flurries, and you know what I mean? That's great, I'm not knocking it, but I'm just saying, from my analysis point of view, when I look at Savannah Marshall, I see what I normally see in a top level man, in terms of the skills, in terms of the things she does. However, like I said, you can have all the skills you want. If you don't turn up, that's how Shields gets into this fight. Because I'm confident Shields is going to turn up. Everything she's done in her past, she's got that raw, dogged belief. Now, I believe Marshall's going to turn up, in all fairness. I think the difference is people like to quote the amateur thing. And I've quoted it. I think it's relevant. I think it's probably one of the most relevant things. Because skills-wise, if you take out the mental side, Marshall wins this hands down, in my opinion. The only conversation on Marshall's side is the mental part, in my opinion. If it comes down to a battle of the skills, it's not even close. Marshall's leagues above. That's what I'm seeing. I don't know. People keep telling me, Shields on points. Maybe I'm missing something here. Because even when I watched Christina Hammer had the size, but she didn't have the coordination or the power punching or the combination punching or anything like that. Nowhere near. Marshall, she's got the size. She's 6 foot tall. I've been posting the pictures online all week. Marshall's 6 foot tall, which is 4 inches taller than Shields. That's a problem, in my opinion. I believe this fight is going to look something like Fury versus Vlad, but with power. That's what I think this is going. People say, well, YB, Shields has got a great jab. Yeah, Shields has got a great jab against small people. When have you really, for the most part, seen a smaller fighter out-jabbing a bigger fighter? And it's not like marginal. We're talking 4 inches here. That's night and day. It really is night and day. 4 inches is huge. So yeah, I'm not saying, I think Shields, is still going to go in there and try and use her jab. The difference is, when you got 4 inches in height and 2 inches in reach, that gives you them jabs here that land, them triple jabs that Shields throws that land against people her own size. Marshall can slide. When you're taller, anyone who's tall knows this, when you're taller, fighting a smaller person. For example, look at Chisora versus Fury 2. Yeah? That's how it goes, for the most part. You've got bird's eye. When you're taller, you've got bird's eye view. The things that smaller people do, you just have that half second to react. And it makes your work a lot less effective. It also makes everything 10 times harder. That's why, for the most part, most people, oh, YB, you're wrong. Look at Mike Tyson. Listen, Mike Tyson's the only small guy ever to pull it off. Bottom line. Yeah, I'll give Canelo some credit, but really, Canelo hasn't fought a good tall person. He hasn't. He hasn't fought a Hall of Famer. If Canelo, in my opinion, was to fight a Hall of Famer tall person, he'd be in trouble. It just so happens that Canelo's been able to dominate in an era when everyone's been pretty average. That's how I see things. But yeah, this fight's a great fight on paper. If Shields can get a jab going, but again, I only see that Shields, in my opinion's only going to be able to get a jab going if Savannah don't turn up. If Savannah goes in there and is overwhelmed like Hammer was. Christina Hammer went in there and just got hit, and she didn't really want to fight, truth be known. Christina Hammer didn't really want to fight. I think Christina Hammer was a bit like Kovalev in that sense. Christina Hammer was used to going in there, being big and strong, and that overwhelming her opponents. But unfortunately, when she had Claressa Shields in her face, who wasn't trying to play like that, Shields was there to fight and to win. And Hammer didn't really want it like that. Now again, if Savannah Marshall doesn't really want to go to work, if Savannah Marshall doesn't really want to have a fight, we're going to lose. Team Marshall. I'm Team Marshall. We're going to lose. Yeah? If you go in there and you get popped in the mouth and think, I don't really want it, we're going to have problems. But in all fairness to Shields, and to Marshall, she's so far under Peter Fury. That's a key thing here. Whilst I've made the distinction, I've highlighted what happened in the amateurs, I believe, and the reason I'm heavily backing Marshall with Coin is because under Peter Fury, we just haven't seen them chinks. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, I'm not saying Marshall's been in big fights, but the point is, Marshall is often in boxing, fighters avoid fighting people their opponents have fought. For example, I'm not saying he's a boxer, but for example, Jake Paul knocked out Tyron Woodley, KSI don't want to fight Tyron Woodley, because if you fight Tyron Woodley and you don't knock him out the same way Jake Paul does, it makes you look bad. Now, the reason I highlight that is to say that Claressa Shields has beaten about 2 or 3 of Savannah Marshall's opponents. Savannah Marshall fought the same women and dealt with the pressure of that. Shields has beat 3 opponents that Savannah Marshall was to then go on and fight. Marshall went in there and stopped them all. She could have said, you know what? Those fights, Shields has already fought them. I don't want the awkward comparisons. No, she went in there, doubled down on herself, and got the stoppages. She stopped people Shields couldn't. That for me is worth something. I'm not saying Marshall hasn't had that Christina Hammer level fight. This is her big fight. But so far, let's not forget people. Marshall, she's a big name in wherever she's from. She's been selling out, I think it's Newcastle or something like that, up north. She's been selling out Newcastle stadiums or Newcastle arenas, big 10,000 arenas, for the last few fights. And she hasn't choked yet. In fact, she's actually risen to the occasion, i.e. found the magic. We've got to be honest here. Marshall has produced magic with 10,000 fans there. Now, I ain't going to lie to you. That's only half of it. Performing for the fans when you've got a somewhat lesser opponent is obviously easier than when you've got Claressa Shields in front of you. But I've got to be honest here. From all the things I've seen, I think the likelihood of her choking is low. I just do. The body language in the face-off, and she has this air of confidence. And let's not forget as well, people, if Marshall was nervous or jitty about this, she didn't have to take this fight. Don't ever forget that. Do you know what I'm saying? Let's say Marshall's shook, why would she bother taking this fight? It don't make sense. And some people were even saying, Marshall, don't forget, Marshall has been selling out 10,000 arenas in Newcastle. Some people were saying, why should Marshall take this fight now? Because if you lose, it kind of kills all that momentum. Marshall should carry on fighting the mid-level guys, knocking them out and building 3 paydays. I'm not sure how much, but I think Marshall's been making about 100, 200 grand. Just, I mean, if you can get it for easy work knockouts, why stop doing that? Marshall was the one to say, no, I could carry on. Marshall said I could carry on rinsing these relatively easy knockouts, but I want the Shields fight. Now, why would you do that for? Yeah? Marshall had every right to sit there and say, I haven't got as much experience yet, I want another 4 fights. No, she pushed for it. Why do that if you're shook? Exactly. Why do that if you know you're going to choke? I've been there myself. Towards the end of my career, it wasn't really a career, but in amateur sport, yeah. But towards the end of my career, I knew I didn't want it like that, yeah. There's been particular events in the past, in my peak as such, where I've been prepared to proper give it my all. Towards the end, I ain't trying to do no hard work. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking to do 80%. I ain't trying to push myself to the point where you feel like you're going to be sick. I won't try to go to that place. My point is, you know as an athlete where you're at. You know, shit man, that chick's got my number. Or shit man, I think I'm going to choke. You know what I'm saying? So I'm confident that Marshall's going to go in there. And I will say this, if Shields is able to beat Marshall, she will be the GOAT in my opinion. Because from what I see, it's not even close. Honestly, I think there's more chance of Savannah getting the KO than there is of Shields winning. There's nothing against Shields. I just see a man and I see a woman. And all the different intangibles, they all go in Marshall's favour. What do I mean by that? Well, like I said, the size is on Shields' favour. And it's not an inch, we're talking 4 inches. Anyone who box knows it's bad. Yeah? You're cycling uphill when you're fighting someone 4 inches taller. That's the first thing. So taller. She's bigger as well. Naturally, a bigger woman, in my opinion. Not only that, we're in the UK. Yeah? So arguably, Shields is already a round down. The other part of things, the power. So not only are you fighting someone taller and bigger, you're also fighting someone who can bang, which gives you even more apprehension. Do you understand? It's one thing fighting someone tall with no power. You can just run forward. It's another thing fighting someone tall when you got to wonder when they're going to swing a big hook or a big uppercut or a big right hand in. That's a whole nother ball game. Now I will admit, Marshall, from what I've seen, isn't as quick as Shields, but I think they got similar timing. Savannah's offensive timing is very elite. She's able to get in there and get combinations off. I'd say single punching combinations. So who's most likely to pull and counter? It will be Shields. Shields has got the better kind of Floyd Mayweather-esque pot shots. But in terms of being able to time and be effective, letting their hands go, I'm sorry. When you take Claressa Shields' jab out of the equation, Claressa Shields for me is all jab and pot shots. If you take them to, and I'm not saying they're big elements, of course, but when you take them elements out, and I believe Savannah Marshall's size and Savannah Marshall's power threat and counter punching is going to make Shields very wary to start plugging that jab out. It's all well and good jabbing when you're fighting someone who don't have the kind of hands Marshall has. We'll see how long that jab lasts when if and when she gets countered. If I was Peter Fury, that would be one of the first things I'd look to do. A bit like almost AJ and Usyk. Yeah? Usyk came out, despite being a smaller man, and popped AJ right in the mouth. He didn't want to know from that point. Now, in all fairness to Shields, I don't believe you can break Shields with one counter punch like AJ. But the same principle. Yeah? Team Fury or Team Marshall surely must have been prepping for that jab to counter it with something heavy early on and to get her thinking about it. And I do have to say, on the inside, it's just a wrap. That's what I mean. It's a wrap for Shields on the inside. It's a wrap. It really is a wrap. She don't have the offensive prowess that Marshall has. It's night and day. You see Shields on the inside. And that's why I believe the KO's more likely than Shields winning. Because when Shields is on the inside, her chin goes in the air and she's thrashing. She's almost throwing like that. Her elbows are all collapsed in and she's just thrashing with her chin in the air. I can honestly see An uppercut, probably. I can see an uppercut. And you got to remember, Savannah, she's elite at I don't know how she does it, but she's elite at getting these 3-punch combinations off. She gets them off and then she rolls out very hard. Like most people associate evasive fighters with being smaller. Yeah? So kind of Mike Tyson was evasive, and I mean Floyd wasn't a small fighter, but Floyd's quite evasive. Marshall has got the evasiveness and the length as well. So when she pulls back, small fighters can't pull back. You get chipped on the end. When Marshall pulls back, you're missing. It's as simple as that. You're going to miss. She can hit you and then get out. It's just a nightmare. And I actually think Marshall can make this easy potentially for her as well. I think Marshall could potentially come out and pull off a Klitschko versus Fury. Just because of the size. Yeah? Get the feints going. Get the flicky jab out there. And outbox her. Just nicking the rounds. I do actually believe that's a possibility. But still, I think she can win either way. She can do a more mixed performance. I think Marshall could come out and run like Fury versus Klitschko and just outpoint, boring as you like. But that's not, in all fairness, what Marshall's style is. Marshall's style is almost a perfect balance. I've been looking into her defense. Her defense, she's got a beautiful tight guard when she wants to. She's not like a typical... she's not messy. A lot of women boxers, yeah, they're messy. They don't have the almost coordination. They're messy. Again, the best way I can explain it, yeah, in my analysis, when I watch Savannah Marshall, I see what I normally see in a high-level man. And that can't be said, from what I've seen, in my opinion, that can't be said for any other woman I've watched. Most women I watch, I think, yeah, you can tell, it's just, it's the quality of the work. You can tell. And that's what I think it's scary. That's what I think it's scary from Shield's point of view. And I do believe I don't believe it's a coincidence, yeah, that Marshall keeps stopping everyone. You tell me what you think. You think it's a coincidence then? You think it's a coincidence, the GOAT, and it's not just one occasion. Of course, in life, yeah, of course, OYB, Shields beat this woman on points, and then Marshall stopped her. It's not just one occasion, people. It's not anomalous. You've got Shields has fought about 3 or 4 different opponents, and Marshall stopped them all. Now you tell me what that's about. People say, oh well, you can't do boxing triangles. Listen, you believe that. I don't believe that. I believe, yeah, one-offs. Boxing triangle. You're right. That doesn't count. But when there's a pattern there, wait a minute. He stops everyone that you can't. That there, to me, shows the difference in quality. Let's not forget, in my mind, it should be quite rational. In my mind, stoppages are the pinnacle of the sport. That is the A-star of the sport. Floyd Mayweather came along, and albeit Claressa Shields came along and tried to recreate the narrative. Oh no, it's not the peak of the game. It's not about stoppages. It's just about winning. No, that's not, unfortunately. An A-star performance has to be a stoppage. Bottom line. That's how it has to be. Yeah? That's the pinnacle. Below that is, of course, the win. Savannah Marshall, she racking up stoppages of the same opponents you couldn't stop. And the scary thing is the fact that Savannah Marshall isn't just stopping these women. Some of them, she's Deontay Wilder in them. Do you understand? Again, that shows you, turning someone's lights off, it's not one of them ones. Do you understand? So not only is Marshall stopping these chicks, they're going lights out, comatose. There's dudes who can't. I'll guarantee you, yeah, if you put some of these dudes in with that same woman, they wouldn't be leaving us comatose. Do you know what I'm saying? Marshall's hitting these chicks and their lights are going out. Now, Shields people are they're bums. Well, if they're not bums, but the bottom line is, yeah, if they're bums, you should have KO'd them stiff too. That's what you do with bums. Yeah, if someone's a true bum, then every top level fighter KOs them. You didn't KO them, so that tells you, well, logically in my mind, that tells you there's a gulf going on here. And fair enough. If Marshall, yeah, was like, when you get a stoppage in life or in all actions, there's risk and reward. I'd be a lot more conservative with my views on Marshall if, for example, Marshall was getting the stoppages by pressing forward and adopting a lot more risk. Yeah? If Marshall was in there getting hit with loads of shots, yeah, to force the KO, I'd be a lot more like, wait there a minute. Marshall's getting these KOs by brute force. Brute force almost doesn't count as much. If you're in there having to push it and going life and death every fight, and then stumbling upon KOs, that's different. But Marshall's getting KOs, and really getting hit just as much as Shields is. Go and watch Marshall's fights. Marshall's getting the KOs and sustaining a similar level of damage. So on a weighted basis, that's why I hold it so valuable. If Marshall was in there, yeah, clubbing away and taking as many as she was given, and then just luckily coming out on top, I'd be saying, listen, man, if you go in there with that kind of blasé attitude, you're going to be open to the jab all night, and it's, you know what I'm saying? But the fact that Marshall's it's almost, she's like a metronome. She goes in there, super awkward, super jittery, like Tyson Fury 2015, and then she just builds like a metronome. Got this dastardly work rate, and then she's slipping and sliding and rolling, and then when she just put her high guard up, she just, I'm sorry, man, she looks, honestly, I think, honestly, for me, Marshall's one of the most beautiful boxers I've ever watched in terms of the craft of the sport. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm biased. Maybe I'm just blind and seeing things. But I really do think it's going to be a shutout for Marshall. I really do. If she turns up, it's going to be a shutout. But like I said, if Shields pulls it off, then she will be. I have to give her full credit and full ratings. Now, the last thing I'll say is I've been tweeting Peter Fury and Savannah all week because I want to mention something about this, because there is a chance, even though I believe Marshall can win this probably 3 different ways, but end of the day, this is sport and anything can happen. So I've been tweeting Marshall and Peter Fury, telling them, listen, if after 5 rounds you find yourself down or it's close, Marshall should have a nuclear option. They should have a Joe Joyce kind of old style Golovkin option in the cards, on the cards, because we know the place that Marshall is advantageous the most is in the power punching and the combination punching. So if all else fails, if you're down after 5 rounds, Marshall, in my opinion, should come out super high guard and walk forward and just get a oppressive jab going forward and get the combination punches going. That's what I think. It should be a big red nuclear button that Team Fury have psychologically and basically prepped for. It should be known. If all else, and that's what I've been saying, if I was training any fighter, every fighter we train, I'm going to train a red button option. Every fighter must have it, because too often these days, look at AJ. AJ and his dopey team didn't have a red button option. Yeah? I'd train my fighters every fight. Listen, we're gonna do, or every sparring session, we're gonna do 10 rounds of sparring, and the last 3 rounds we're gonna bring the red button in. Yeah, every fighter needs to become psychologically aware of and accustomed to. If all else fails, we're going all in. Too often these guys, it seems to be these guys are optimists. Oh, we'll go with the best case. The best case is AJ goes in there and outboxes Usyk. Okay, and if that doesn't work? Oh, well, we ain't thought of that. I didn't know. Now, I don't blame the coaches completely. AJ's the most responsible. Yeah, you're a big buff dude. What are you doing trying to box with a little man for? Go in there and get busy. Especially in the rematch. It's no excuse. AJ knew exactly what was required. However, as a trainer, you owe it to at least make it clear to your fighter. Now, if your fighter then goes on to Jack, that's on him. But unfortunately, Team AJ twice never put him in that position. Instead, they blew smoke up his arse, and we see it too often. Look at Golovkin versus Canelo. Again, Golovkin should have been told it's time to go all in. And it's not. They're just, for me, 2 examples. There's many occasions where people don't go all in. But for this particular fight, it's imperative, because we know Shields doesn't have the best power. So you have heavy hands. She doesn't have the best power. That to me screams like we almost have a license to walk forward here. If Shields can't walk forward, if Marshall can't walk forward. Now, it might be the case. I think there's a high likelihood Marshall just outboxes this fight easily, handily. I'm saying if all else fails after 5 rounds and you're finding it tricky, it's time to go in there and go Joe Joyce mode. Chin down, hands up, driving a jab forward and just getting his combos going. Because one of the things I concluded in my messages to Peter Fury was, listen, if Savannah Marshall does that in the UK, if Savannah Marshall starts wading forward, throwing big combination punches, there's almost no way she's going to lose in the UK. There's no way the judges are going to give it to Shields if they've seen Savannah Marshall in there, pushing the fight, landing heavy shots. And I've got to be honest, Shields looks sloppy on the inside as well. If the judges see Shields in there thrashing away with her chin in the air, and they see Savannah Marshall rocking and rolling, whipping good-looking shots together, putting good-looking shots together, it's going to be easy pickings, and you can win the last 5 rounds on that basis. So it comes down to, what do you want to do? Do you want to win the fight, or do you want to self-preserve? Because too often, now Christina Hammer doesn't have the skills, but Christina Hammer was more interested in self-preservation. It's up to you. Do you want to be great? Do you want to leave it all out there? Or do you want to be self-preserved? Because too many boxers these days are too interested in, George Kambosos lost to Haney and then said, look, there isn't any marks on my face. What? People used to take pride in trying to win and getting their face marked. Now, because of Floyd Mayweather, it's seen as a badge of honour to lose and not have no marks on your face. What the fuck? What's that? You lost. Who gives a fuck what you got no mark on your face? That's the reason you got no marks on your face, because you fucking lost. You didn't want to have a real fight. So I'm hoping Peter Fury, who's meant to be a realist, has had that conversation. Now, to be fair, from what I've seen, Peter Fury has publicly reiterated that it's going to be a 50-50 fight and it's going to be a war. So I'm pretty sure Peter has communicated that it's going to be a hard fight. But like I said, it needs to be not just it's going to be a hard fight. It needs to be an actual concept you've talked through with your athlete. If all my athletes, I'll be sitting them down and saying, listen, if by the halfway mark we're losing, I want you to know, we got the red button there. I'm going to tell you it's time to push the red button. I'm going to tell you it's time to go all in. If we've got 3 rounds left, 3 rounds to go, and the fight's close, or 3 rounds to go, and I'm not sure which way it is, because too often these days, coaches say, I thought we won. What the That's why I rate Terence Crawford's trainer. Terence Crawford's trainer was fighting Sean Porter. The Sean Porter fight, the fight wasn't close. It was kind of like 70-30 or 60-40 to Crawford. And his trainer said, listen, the judges might be seeing it the other way. At which point, Terence Crawford got a rocket up his arse, rightfully so, and went to work. That's what you have to do at this level. It's not enough to say, it's too late once you've lost, to say, I didn't know, or I thought we was winning. There's absolutely no benefit in this game of being optimistic. Now, I'm not saying, if your fighter's doing great work, and you literally clearly dominating the fight, great, praise your fighter. But if the fight's close, don't lie to them. Like, for me, there's no way, in both AJ fights versus Usyk, there's absolutely no way, any round, apart from round 9, there's absolutely no way I'd have been telling AJ he's winning the fight. Round 9, I'd have said, you won that round. Every other round, I'd have said, listen, it was a close round, it could have gone either way. That's how I feel. Every single round in an AJ fight. Them 24 rounds of Usyk versus AJ, I think maybe round 7 of the first fight, and round 9 of the second fight. They're the only 2 rounds I can say you dominated. The rest of them, I'm telling you, it's 50-50. And that's what you should have been told. Anyway, man, listen. Genuinely, this for me is one of my most excited fights. I can't remember the last time I was this gassed for a fight. It almost reminds me of the real Mayweather-Pacquiao. And to be honest, even better, because we've actually got a power puncher in Savannah Marshall. This for me is the real Mayweather vs Pacquiao prime, not 50-year-old, the real one. So salute to both women for taking this fight. I mean, I just hope they both leave it all out there. If they both leave it all out there, we're going to be in for a true classic. If someone chokes, it's going to be a lot less entertaining. But yeah, great fight. Let me know your thoughts. The result I feel will be most likely Shields. Well, if I was to bet, the most safe bet is either the fight to go the distance or Savannah Marshall to win. But the best value odds is for Marshall by decision. Marshall by decision pays about 3 times money back profit. Put 100 quid on, you'll get 300 quid profit back. That's for Marshall points. I think that's where the best value is for me personally. When you add in all the different factors, like we're in the UK, and I can't see Shields winning this fight. I don't see enough of these skills that people mention. But that's the great thing about sport. People are wrong. So let's see how it plays out. Let me know your thoughts. Smash the like button, subscribe, and your boy will be back.